How's it going, guys? Welcome to Weekly Wednesdays, a series where every week we're going to be covering one or both of the players of the week. We're going to be talking about the 76ers star guard, one of the best young players in the league, Tyrese Maxey.
Step back three, it's good. Finds Maxey. Maxey fumbled it, still gathered and scored.
Tyrese Maxey.
Maxey earned the award for having 3 big performances last week, ending up with him averaging 32 points, 5 rebounds, and 9 assists, and the 76ers went 3-0. Let's dive into his play of last week, see how Maxey has been doing this year, and see what is coming up for him in the future and where his potential lies. Tyrese Maxey was originally drafted with the 21st overall pick by the 76ers back in 2020. Draft projections had Maxey rated much higher than this, with most people seeing him as a lottery pick, and some having him go as early as 8th. But due to his issues with his consistency and his efficiency from the field, he fell all the way down to the Sixers at 21. And he quickly became one of their young stars. Last year, at 23 years old, Tyrese Maxey won the league's Most Improved Player award, and he was nominated for his first All-Star appearance. And this year, he's keeping up almost the exact same stats that he did from last year. Maxey has become known as one of the best offensive players in the game today. He is widely regarded as the fastest player in the league. He's incredibly efficient in transition. He's one of the best pick and roll guys in the league. And despite his insane speed, he still manages elite body control, does a great job drawing contact, and leveraging the other team's defenders. So last week, Tyrese Maxey averaged 32 points, 9 assists, and 5 rebounds, with the 76ers having a big win over the Boston Celtics on Christmas Day. They also beat the Utah Jazz and the San Antonio Spurs, with Maxey having huge performances in all of those games. So let's look exactly at what Maxey does to make him such an elite player and why he's probably going to be an all-star player again this year. First off, I have to talk about it, but it's his speed. Maxey is probably the fastest player in the league, and he uses that speed and quickness to an elite level. He has an amazing first step. He's super quick in transition. He does a great job coming off of screens, or when he's the ball handler on a screen, he does a great job when it comes to getting around the screener, often putting the defense in a bad position. And then when you add in the rest of his elite skills, it's what makes him such a good player. As I mentioned, Tyrese Maxey has great body control, but he is also a great ball handler, and he has an elite floater game. This allows the undersized guard to compete with big men at the basket, and it makes him deadly at the paint and in the shorter mid-range area. In the pick and roll, he ranks in the 68th percentile according to NBA.com of the entire league, and surprisingly, he does pass a little bit more out of the pick and roll compared to some other guards, only attempting shots on about 39% of all pick and roll actions. But this is something that I absolutely love about Tyrese Maxey, as he is quick, but he isn't rushed. Every single thing he does is calculated in some sort of a way. He is very good at finding the open man or making the safe pass. You will almost never find him over dribbling or taking a bad shot. This lack of hesitation keeps the defense on their toes because you never know if he's going to pull up from 3, pull it from mid-range, hit a floater, or find the open guy in the corner, or even kick it back to Joel Embiid, usually on a pick and fade. So you add in quick decision-making, an elite ball handler, and possibly the fastest player in the NBA, and you have a guy who is basically impossible to stay in front of. And in transition, he is, of course, elite. He averages about 5 points per game in transition, which puts him in the top of the entire league, and about top 3 of all guards when it comes to scoring in transition, and he's averaging about 1.15 points per possession in transition, which is absolutely elite. His speed allows him to get out in front of people. He does a great job actually finishing at the basket, takes contact. Like I said, he has that floater. He has the ability to put the soft touch off the backboard, or he is usually really good when it comes to finding the open man, or when he doesn't have the ball. I've noticed he is really good when it comes to filling out the corners and just staying out of the way. It's an underrated skill, but being able to fill out the corners and space out properly in the fast break can be the difference between a made shot and a miss. And the last thing to mention about Tyrese Maxey that I absolutely love about him is the fact that he is not a selfish player at all. He fits into the 76ers offense incredibly well, and he will do whatever it takes for this team to be successful. He's not like Joel Embiid or some other players that when they get the ball, they can become a black hole unless they're literally double or triple teamed. So that makes it no surprise that the 76ers offense jumps by about 6 points per 100 possessions when he is on the court. And that's the difference between a bottom 5 offense and a middle of the pack 15, 16, 17 ranked offense. Given how bad the 76ers have been at the start of the year, that is a pretty significant jump. And the other thing to talk about with Tyrese Maxey is his clutch performances. So Tyrese Maxey is #1 in the NBA when it comes to points in the clutch. Now the NBA defines clutch situations as a game of 5 points or less with 5 minutes left. In those situations, he averages about 4 points in the clutch, shooting around 53%. Like I said, he is the league's leading clutch scorer, and he is more efficient than his teammates in Joel Embiid and Paul George in this situation. He is also the league's best fourth quarter scorer, scoring about 7 points per game while being in the top of efficiency. The other big thing to note with Maxey is his defense, something that I thought he did pretty well over the last week. Now his speed and athleticism allows him to stay in front of just about anybody, and it allows him to play the passing lanes, something he does pretty well. And the fact that he's doubling his steals, getting a career high 2 steals per game, is showing that this is paying off because it is giving them points in transition. I do think off the ball he can tend to get lost just a little bit, but it isn't too bad, and the 76ers rating stays about the same when he is on the court, only going up by about 1 point per 100 possessions. He is a little bit undersized, being about 6'2", 200 pounds, but I think his offensive upside and athleticism makes up for this. Despite functioning well within the Sixers offense and often being their star when guys like Paul George, Joel Embiid, or last year when James Harden was struggling, Tyrese Maxey definitely still has some areas of improvement for his game. First off is just his overall efficiency, something that was struggling in college. This year his 3-point attempts are up, but his 3-point percentage is down compared to last year, and so is his field goal percentage, but he is maintaining the same amount of points per game, and he isn't turning the ball over much more either, but his efficiency is something that can definitely be improved.
One big thing for Tyrese Maxey to improve upon is his catch and shoot shooting. Compared to last season, he is shooting about 9% less on catch and shoot 3-pointers on the exact same volume. Maxey is also one of the better paint scorers amongst guards, scoring top 10 in both the restricted arc and outside of the restricted arc in the paint. However, his efficiency still has some room to be improved on, as you can see right here.
The other thing to talk about his efficiency is his mid-range shooting, something that has actually gotten a little bit better and something that he is taking a little bit more this year. This is a shot that I would like to continue to see him to take, as I think that little pull at mid-range is going to open up his floater game, it's going to open up the Sixers pass game, and it's going to make him even harder to guard, and I think it's going to give him some open 3-pointers. Hopefully his 3-point efficiency is something that has just been a slow start this year, and that is something that can continue to rise up, but the fact that he is struggling in catch and shoot, the easiest of all 3-pointers, is a bit of a sign for concern. On the year, he only shoots about 35% from 3 in general, which is below average and definitely below average for a guard in the modern NBA, let alone an undersized guard. But shooting 36% from 3 on catch and shoot shots and shooting about 33% from 3 on pull-up jumpers is just not enough in the modern NBA. But he is averaging 25 points per game, and the fact that he is averaging about 24-25 points per game in back-to-back seasons, and the fact that he is doing that without a consistent 3-ball, or at least a super consistent 3-ball this season, just goes to show how talented he is everywhere else. So I think you can make a real argument that Tyrese Maxey has been the MVP to the 76ers this season. He shows up for them in the clutch when they need it. He's there almost every single game, and even though Paul George and Joel Embiid have struggled, Tyrese Maxey has positive lineups with both of these guys, and the quote-unquote big 3 of the 76ers actually is still positive per 100 possessions, something the Phoenix Suns can't even say. There's one thing to show just how valuable Tyrese Maxey has been for them and how valuable he has been is if you just look at the lineup differences. So Tyrese Maxey and Paul George are positive per 100 possessions. So is Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. Then if you take Joel Embiid and Paul George, they're negative per 100 possessions. But then if you take Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey, they're positive. Joel Embiid has struggled with injuries, basically for his career, but he's been struggling with injuries this year, So has Paul George, and George has also been struggling with this consistency. But the person who has been there, he's been healthy, and he's still been showing up for the 76ers is Tyrese Maxey. I don't know if the Paul George we're seeing this year is a shooting slump, or if this is just who Paul George is now. And Joel Embiid, while he is a fantastic player, is someone who has struggled with injuries for his entire career. With the combination of his speed, his playmaking, his unselfishness, his floater game, and his ability to just go off in about any given situation, Tyrese Maxey looks like he is probably going to be repeating as an all-star, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him be in all-NBA conversations if he keeps this rate up, or if he can become more efficient by the end of the year. And at this current rate, I wouldn't be surprised for him to win the league's Clutch Player of the League award as well. In my opinion, I think Tyrese Maxey is currently sitting around that 6th to 7th best point guard in the league, even though it is kind of hard to mention what it really means to be a point guard nowadays. I put him around that 6th and 7th spot, and as a guy who is bordering on that all-star conversation. If the 76ers still struggle to remain healthy and remain consistent, and if Maxey can stay healthy and continue to lead this team, I think we can see him get into that next level conversation and truly put himself amongst the league stars. But to their credit, the 76ers have also turned things around since Thanksgiving. They've gone about 9-3 and outscored their opponents by about 2.5 points per 100 possessions. They still have a lot of work to do, but there is some semblance that this could actually be a real team. And I know a lot of people thought that, but at one point when this team was around the 11th, the 12th seed, it looked realistic for them to just miss out on the playoffs. So now we're seeing a 76ers team that can actually compete. Although I do also have to say that against the Celtics on Christmas Day, rhyming accidentally, the Sixers' big three was outscored by about 15 points versus the Boston Celtics. And the only reason they won was because they had some fantastic bench play. Their bench has been playing really well over the last 3 games, and I think that has gone in hand with Tyrese Maxey's recent big performances. Over the last 3 games with Yabusele on the court, the 76ers have outscored their opponents by 20 points per 100 possessions, which is absolutely insane. Of course, with Joel Embiid not being available for all quarters in those games, and with Paul George just not playing well, it does make sense that the 76ers bench does look better. And if you factor in the fact that Tyrese Maxey plays with the bench a decent amount, that also makes sense. This was Tyrese Maxey, one of the league's best young stars, and someone who I think is one of the best guards to watch if you yourself are a basketball player. His unselfishness, ability to move without the ball, his ability to pass, and his ability to ball handle and control himself is something that not a lot of players in the league can do at an elite level. Following the kind of things that he does, especially if you're athletic like him, can lead you to success. And that is how 76ers guard Tyrese Maxey won Player of the Week. Guys, this was Weekly Wednesdays. If you liked the video, you know what to do. Stay tuned for next week where we're going to be covering the newest player or players of the week. And let me know down below if there are any other players you want me to analyze or take a look at, as I am always on the lookout for new guys that nobody is talking about. That is it for this one, and I will catch you all later.